This episode is sponsored by the Paper Trails Greeting Company. Runners near and far, hear ye, hear ye. There's an amazing company that's dedicated to celebrating and encouraging every runner that laces up a pair of running shoes, and it's called the Paper Trails Greeting Company. This company offers something that's hard to replicate in a text message, and that is a physical, innovative, and genuine note of kindness that supports and celebrates every runner. The motto of the company is that every runner belongs, and each card proves that. The cards preach community among all runners, and there's a card for each season of a runner's journey. If you've run a new personal best, there's a card that celebrates that. If you suffered an injury, there's a card that lets you know that someone is thinking of you and that you'll come back even stronger. There's even a card that celebrates your significant running other. For me personally, I never felt like a runner. But then I stumbled across the Paper Trails Greeting Company, and it inspired me to pick up running again, and eventually it made me feel like I was a part of the running community. Go on their website, papertrailsgreetingco.com, and check out their incredible selection of cards. Use the code Lactic Acid in all caps for 15% off your order. They also have inspirational stickers and PDF printouts, so be sure to check those out as well. Then follow them on their social media page on Instagram, Paper Trails Greeting Co., as well on Facebook. And always remember to celebrate every runner and that every runner belongs. What's going on, ladies and gentlemen, saints and ain'ts, and welcome to Lactic Acid, the podcast where the takes are fresh, the ideas are ripe, and that makes us the best in the bunch. I am your host, Dominique Smith, and today I am excited to bring you one of Australia's finest. He is a distance runner, running for the Dark Sky Distance or Dark Sky Running Club, forgive me, Under Armour athlete, and a baller at that, Mr. Jack Anstey. Jack, what's going on, brother? I appreciate you coming on the show.
Yeah, I appreciate you having me. I'm looking forward to having a chat with you.
Absolutely, absolutely. Always excited, always exciting to get new faces on the show, and Jack is one that I'm excited for everyone to meet. So I got to ask you a question that I ask everybody when they come on the show, and that is this: if you had to pick a superhero to describe your game on the track, who you rolling with?
That's a tough one. I knew you were going to ask this one, so I've been pondering for a couple of days, and I'm gonna stick with my answer that I originally had. I'm gonna say Ant-Man. There's a few reasons why. First of all, it's hard to go past Paul Rudd. He's one of my favorite actors of all time, and I think he's particularly good as Ant-Man. So that's one reason. But in terms of just like relating it back to myself, I think Ant-Man as a superhero is pretty untraditional as far as superheroes go. He's not really he doesn't have like the most how should I put this, I guess like threatening superpower, if that makes sense. He's not super intimidating, but I think relating it back to me, just like throughout my career in track and field, like Ant-Man just finds a way to get the job done. Not in the most like traditional sense, but he always gets it done. And I think that's kind of something I can relate to as an athlete. I've kind of had some tough times and stuff, and I feel like I've always been able to find a way to get it done at the end of the day. So yeah, Ant-Man for sure.
So if there was a movie about your life, are you picking Paul Rudd to play your character?
I think Paul Rudd might be slightly above my my ability on the TV screen, but if he was happy to play my character, I'd be stoked to have him.
Hey, Paul, let's make it happen, man. Let's make it
happen.
Let's make it happen. Yeah, man, really excited to have you on the show. So you are from Australia.
Yes, sir.
You have been in the United States since college.
Yep. I think I came over here in January of 2017 and been based over here ever since.
So outside of the time difference, which is astronomical, what would you say the biggest difference between living in Australia and living here in the States?
Yeah, that's a good question. Yeah, well, I like you said, the time difference. I think the time difference itself is like probably the worst possible time difference like in the world. I don't know. It's I always think there's like an hour a day, if that, where I can like call my family and it be convenient for them and also convenient for me. So that's certainly one that you touched on. But no, I think just coming over here, and I'd spent a little bit of time overseas before, but coming over here and trying to assimilate to life in just a different country that you've never been to before is such a hard thing. And yeah, just so many things when I first got here, like the weather was such a big one. I remember just getting sick every kind of 2 or 3 weeks in my first semester. I came from summer in Australia, which is like December, January, February, and then when I moved over here, it was the middle of winter in the Midwest, and I'm sure you can imagine what that's like. So yeah, just that I found that I was just getting like, sick with little bugs and things every couple of weeks, and it was just hard to stay healthy. And yeah, and then just obviously just little things like getting adjusted to school and stuff like that is also hard. So yeah, there's plenty of things I could talk all day about it, but yeah.
So what made you come, obviously you went to Illinois State, you were a middle distance runner there, but why were you interested in coming over to the United States for running?
Yeah, I think for track and field in Australia, there's just not that many avenues post high school for people who really want to pursue it seriously. And I picked up the sport pretty late, only when I was about 16 or 17 years old. And by the time I graduated high school, I felt like I wanted to give it a real crack, and I wanted to try and see how far I could go with it. But there just wasn't that many options for me in Australia to keep going with it. And then, yeah, there were some scholarship offers on the table over here, and I just thought it would be a great opportunity to see what I could do in the sport, but also just come over here and kind of develop as a person. And like, I don't know, I feel like it's pretty easy to grow up quick when you have to move countries and work it out for yourself, and your parents aren't there to help you and stuff. So I just thought it was a good move for me to come over here and see what life is like, and yeah, don't regret it for a second.
Obviously, we talked about the craziness of the weather. Yeah, the Midwest is, I live here in Florida, and, it's hot. We have like 2 cold weeks, in the winter. And, the Midwest is nothing to be played with when it comes to winter weather. But outside of the weather, what would you say the biggest culture shock, was coming to the United States? And then kind of talk a little bit about, how it differs from Australian culture, because I find that.
Yeah, that's a tough one. It's funny that you say that about the weather in Florida, because I've never been to Florida, and we're actually in Florida right now for a training camp. And I got there like the first couple of days, and people were complaining about how cold it was. And I'm like, dude, it's like 60 degrees. What are you talking about?
That's Florida, man.
Yeah. So it's funny you say that, but no, yeah, culture shocks. There's just so many. I feel like food was one of them. Like,
oh yeah,
and I don't necessarily mean the type of food. Sure, there's differences there, but when I came over, it's astounding to me how big portion sizes are in America. I know that's a little thing, but like I remember coming over here and like, I don't know, in Australia, I'd always order a large because I feel like I don't know, I eat a lot of food, and like I just would always play it safe and order a large. But you order a large here and like you've got enough food to eat for a week. So it's just like that it's just, yeah, it's just so different. And I still like find myself in that habit where I just over order and order way too much food, and I'm just like, this would never happen back home. But yeah, that's one thing that comes to mind.
That's interesting. It's so funny because like here in America, certain places you go, like I went to Chick-fil-A the other day, and I'm not sure, have you been there?
Yeah, big Chick-fil-A guy.
So I got I think I got nuggets or whatever. So I got 12 count nuggets.
Yeah.
And then I'm sitting there like, Okay, I should get probably a large fry too, because I'm not sure a medium is enough. So it's
Yeah,
like
yeah,
sometimes, certain places in America, it's like, oh, we don't have the portion sizes aren't that big. So it's like funny to hear, like in Australia, like our large is like a family feast.
yeah. No, I think like the best example I would have for you is like drink sizes or like fry sizes, like you're talking about. Like that's like the most evident it is in my eyes, because like, yeah, a large drink over here is like a small drink back in Australia. So like that's just like the easiest, like just eyeballing it. And like I'm a big coffee guy, so like going to Starbucks and like ordering a tall coffee from Starbucks is like, yeah, that's like the smallest option they have, and it's like really big to me anyway. But yeah, it's interesting.
What's your favorite restaurant? Or like give me like two restaurants that you
Oh, oh, that's tough, man. I'm a huge Chipotle guy.
okay.
Um, like Chipotle, if I don't get Chipotle like 2 or 3 times a week, like something's up. Like,
Really?
yeah, it's a go-to for me. Like after, like especially after a hard workout or a hard session, like, yeah, it's always just down the road and like so easy to go, and I feel like you always know what you're going to get. So Chipotle is a really big go-to for me. What else? Yeah, Chick-fil-A you touched on. That's always good bang for your buck. Um, yeah, I do love my pizza.
Okay.
So um, we got to Boston last night. I'm racing in Boston this weekend, and there was a Blaze Pizza across the road, and I feel like that's always a safe bet. I always enjoy Blaze. So yeah.
Love Blaze Pizza. I used to be like you with Chipotle. Used to Mondays, Fridays, and sometimes Saturdays. That used to be a go-to. But
Yeah,
that
man.
chicken is like hot now. And it just like
Yeah.
it like burns like my mouth. It's killer. Um
What's your Chipotle order? Are you a burrito guy or a bowl guy?
see, I do it. Okay, so this is what I started doing. So the last few times I did Chipotle, I do both. So here's what
Oh,
I don't know if you do it. You order a bowl and then ask for them to put a tortilla inside the bowl.
that's my roommate. He does the exact same thing, and I remember seeing it for the first time. We go to Chipotle together all the time, and I remember seeing him do that for the first time, and I was just mind blown. I was like, "That's a genius move," because I always went with the tortilla on the side, because
Mm,
like they don't charge you for it, so you just get a bowl and then ask for a tortilla on the side, and they wrap it up, and you can do whatever you want with it, like dip it in your food or whatever.
yeah,
But then I seen him do that, and that's what you do as well, and I was like, man, that is genius.
it is. Like and then usually see, I kind of shied away from Chipotle. You know, you need to like cool down your chicken, but um I used to get burritos, but the problem is like they don't wrap them well. So it's like anytime I eat them, they fall apart. And so this was like the happy medium. And then I used to do what you do, get a tortilla on the side and get the bowl. And then, there'd be times where it's like, okay, I kind of want a burrito. So I like take half of the bowl, put it in the burrito, the tortilla,
Yeah,
and then wrap it. But for Chipotle, I do brown rice, no beans, chicken, depending on the day, double chicken, depending on the day, half chicken, half steak. 2 scoops of the mild salsa, extra sour cream, extra lettuce, and guac.
yeah. No, that's a good foundation. Can't Nothing wrong with that. Can't get you there.
But what's yours?
I go white rice. So the only extra thing I get is extra white rice. So I'll get double white rice. I think like um yeah, the more rice you have, like I don't know, the more filling it is, and I feel like
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know. That's the only extra thing I get. But I get rice, white rice, um, black beans, chicken. Used to be a steak guy, but converted to the chicken now. And then I think queso, um, uh, pico, just cheese and lettuce. I'm pretty basic, but yeah, it's a familiar order for me, so it's
The,
always good.
the first time I haven't had their updated queso, but the first time I had, the queso when it came out, it was the worst thing I've ever had in my entire life.
Yeah.
It
No,
tastes
they definitely improved it. I remember like, yeah, it not being that good, like, I don't know, even like a year ago. And now it's like, I don't know. I feel like I could never get it without it now.
really wow. Have
Yeah.
you been to, wow? See, I'm hungry now. like I mean, like
Yeah,
I
this is
mean,
bad.
like I may have to go to Chipotle. But have you like discovered any other Mexican eats?
Yeah.
Like, have you been to Cadoba?
I do. Hot takes. I think I don't know. Everyone disagrees with me here, but Qdoba and Chipotle like can't like if you like okay. I'm exaggerating a little bit here, but if you blindfolded me, like I'm not sure I could tell the difference. Like
You can tell the difference from two standpoints. You're not totally off. I feel like at Qdoba, I like the chicken more at Qdoba.
mhm.
The meat to me is better at Qdoba.
Yeah, yeah,
Everything else is Chipotle. And the queso and the chips. So the queso, the chips, and the meat at Qdoba. But the rice, the beans, the guac, the sour cream, the mozzarella cheese, everything else, Chipotle.
yeah. No, I agree. I agree. Chipotle, like gun to my head, Chipotle is better.
And it's more filling at Chipotle for whatever reason. Like you get the big bowl from Qdoba, but for whatever reason, I'm like still hungry. But like
Yeah,
at Chipotle, I don't know. It's just something about it. Maybe it is the rice. Like it's
yeah.
the texture of rice because I do eat white rice as well.
Yeah, what I don't get is when people say they like one or the other and like don't like the other one. Like people have told me in the past like they don't like Qdoba but they love Chipotle and I'm like, well, hang on, they're not like to me. Okay, to me they taste really similar, and I get that they're like to some people like it might not taste at all like, but to say you like really enjoy one and don't like the other one at all, like just completely like
Yeah.
I don't know, that doesn't make sense to me, but each to their own, I guess.
I will say this. I used to hate Qdoba, but the reason I hated it was because love my college campus, but food tastes different eating it in a normal store compared to a college campus.
Yeah,
And,
no, that makes sense. Yeah,
and so
college campus is it's
and
touch and go.
yeah. And so once I had Qdoba, like, in his normal location, I was like, this is legit. But I do agree with you there. You can't like you can have a preference, but
Yeah, you can
like,
prefer one, but to say you out and out do not like one or like you hate one and you love the other doesn't make sense to me.
we're gonna get back to this food topic because really I can base this whole show on food, and I'll be honest with you, it might end up being that way. But there's just a couple questions before we get back to food. So why track and field?
Why track and field? Good question. Like I said, I picked it up pretty late. I think for me, so I grew up playing other sports. Grew up playing soccer. Cricket is a big sport in Australia. Like I don't know, comparing it to like baseball in America, that's kind of like that's the comparison I can draw. But I played like a lot of different sports growing up, and I found that with the other sports that I was playing, I went to a public school that is considered pretty rough by the standards of the town I live in, and I felt that when I was playing other sports, I'm trying to put this in like the least aggressive way possible. I found that people that went to private schools and people that went to schools that were considered better schools than the school I went to were preferred and like chosen for different representative teams and stuff like that over me, even though I might have been just as good. And I kind of stumbled into running and realized that like it doesn't matter where you go to school. It doesn't matter like what your background is. Like the clock doesn't lie. Right. Like you can, if you're fast, if you perform, like no one can take that away from you. Whereas I feel like in a lot of other sports, there's a lot of other factors that go into, whether you get selected for a team, whether you get, if you're a professional athlete, whether you get a contract, all these things, all these different variables. And I felt like with running, I could rest easy at night knowing that if I performed, I was gonna be rewarded for it, and it wasn't gonna come down to any other factors. And I just like love that aspect of it. Like you get in what you put out, you get out of it what you put into it. And yeah, I just fell in love with it after that.
Yeah, there's definitely politics in sports. I mean, here, even in America, we have the tryout system, and in high school, it's usually fair, and then it's getting kind of towards, depending on the school.
Yeah.
Depending on, because, here, like private schools, and just depending on the enrollment, everybody pretty much makes the team, because of the bodies and numbers at that time. Now it gets political when it comes, it can get political when it comes to playing time, and things of that nature. But yeah, I definitely understand, where you're coming from. And so, you found running, obviously it's something that you enjoy, but what is it that you, outside of you get in, you get out what you put in, what gives you joy about running? You're an 800 meter, 1500 meter guy. What gives you joy about those strenuous events and just the profession of running in general?
Yeah, I think I'm motivated by. I think if you if you surveyed like a lot of professional athletes, I think I would have a different answer to why I love it compared to a lot of others. I just love the sense of improvement, and I think like running and the middle distance events in particular are events where you can easily measure your performance to where you are now to where you were a year ago, 2 years ago, and like that performance, like you're just able to tell if you're improving, if you're not improving. And like I just love that sense of improvement, and like there's no feeling like a PR, like running a PB and like running faster than you've ever ran before. Like I just love that feeling. And it's one of the best feelings in the world. So I think, I'm just driven by trying to get better every day and every season. And I think that's kind of why I'm at the point I'm at right now, is just I've been able to stay consistent for like the past 5 or 6 years and get incrementally better every year. And like I just love that feeling of feeling like you're improving and feeling like you're getting to a level that you've never been at before. And that's what drives me. I think the day that I think I'm not able to improve anymore is the day I'll give it away, for sure.
I'll ask you one more running question, and then we'll shift gears. So back to food, things like that. So what are your running goals?
Running goals, I mean, like as a professional athlete, and when you're on a contract, the expectation is that you're making national teams and running at Olympic Games, World Championships, major championships. Like that's what's expected of me by Under Armour. And I wouldn't be doing it still if I didn't think I could get to that level. And so, the long-term goal is obviously to make an Australian Olympic team, and then in the meantime it'll be to make World Championship teams, Commonwealth Games teams, and just represent Australia on the world stage. But that's kind of what's driving me. Like Under Armour expects me to perform at an elite level, and they've given me an opportunity and I want to give back to them. So that's the goal. I just want to compete at on the world stage.
So let's shift gears from running just a little bit. And so let's kind of talk about, what is it like? Tell me more about Jack Anstey. Let the people know a little bit about who you are off the track.
Off the track. Okay. Well, I'm a pretty big music guy.
Really?
I think if you ask, so I live with a guy who also runs for Under Armour, and Dark Sky Casey. Casey Nevelbard, and I think if you asked him what kind of music I was into, he would say that I probably don't go more than 5 hours a day without listening to Taylor Swift. So I'm a huge Taylor Swift guy. I think it's one of those things. So my sister, I have one sister. She's 4 or 5 years older than me, and I think she was just older. She was just at that age where, I don't know. If you have a sibling that's like 4 or 5 years older than you, you'll get it. But she was just old enough to have like a hold over me growing up. Like she was, she was the oldest sibling, and like she would pick me up from school. She would be in charge, all this stuff, and she loved Taylor Swift. And so like I feel like I have like stumbled into Taylor Swift, the Taylor Swift trap by default, because she was so obsessed with it that I didn't have a choice growing up. Like I just had to listen to it, driving home from school, in the house, whatever it was. And so that's kind of the short story of how I became a Swiftie, if that's what the kids are calling it these days. Yeah. So yeah, I'm a huge Taylor Swift guy. What else? Yeah, I'm a pretty big soccer guy. I follow the Premier League in the UK a fair bit. I'm a West Ham fan.
Liverpool, man.
That's Liverpool? Me. Yeah. No, I mean,
I got you.
Yeah, no, it's all good. But yeah, no, I follow that pretty closely. I follow cricket really closely back in Australia. I like I said earlier, I played that all growing up through my childhood, and even when I had to give it away to focus on running, like I still stayed in touch with the game and still follow it to this day. And yeah, I'm a pretty big sports guy in general. I haven't really acclimatized to like, the NBA or the NFL or anything like that, but maybe one day.
That's fair. No, I mean, it's different strokes for different folks. So let's go back to this Taylor Swift obsession.
I could there's not much I don't know. I could I know pretty much every lyric to every song she's ever released. It's on that level. So
I mean, you are a fanatic. Okay.
Yeah.
Have you been to a concert?
I have never been to a Taylor Swift concert. No, it's definitely on the list, but
I went to one.
You went to a Taylor Swift concert?
2013.
Okay.
A friend of mine, she got tickets. She's like, "You want to go?" And she surprised me with them because it was something she wanted to do, and so I went. Not gonna lie, Ed Sheeran was like the opening act, and I actually high-fived her mom.
Taylor Swift's mom?
Yeah.
Oh man, I'm so jealous. Right now.
I'm not a Swiftie by any means necessarily. Mm-hmm. But listen, she produces, the music that she produces, you can't hate on that at all.
No, for sure.
What's your favorite album? Red.
When you said 2013, I was thinking that might have been the Red.
Yeah.
Yeah. So favorite album for me. So I'm not gonna lie. So like I said, my sister kind of like, I don't know, like dragged me into the Taylor Swift fandom by default. And then I kind of went off her for a few years. All right. I think she went a bit too poppy for me. Like she went for so obviously the history of Taylor Swift, let's break it down. So she started as like a country artist, right? Like out and out, like she was a country music artist. And then she kind of like moved away from that and got like, I wouldn't call it pop, but she was, I don't know, a little bit, yeah, pop, but it was like a little bit more mainstream. Like it wasn't like super poppy, but then like, I think her album Lover, like I did not like that album. Like it was just way too like poppy for me and too like, I don't know, teenage girl like vibes. I don't know. Anyway, but then like when COVID hit, she released those 2 albums, Evermore and Folklore. And man, like those 2 albums, every single song, two of the best albums ever released, I think. Like she was on it there for sure. she was, yeah, she absolutely killed those 2 albums. And then some of her like re-release stuff that she's doing right now, like she re-released Red not too long ago. Like that stuff is good as well. So, but yeah, Evermore or Folklore, it's hard to choose one between those two, but I'll narrow it down to those.
I haven't really heard those albums, but they sounds like she's kind of switched to more of a folk. Like
yeah. It's just no, I don't know what it was, but yeah.
it was like country and then pop. It was pop. I mean, just call it mainstream. And then like folk music.
Yeah.
So interesting. So like you are like you gave me the entire history of it and everything.
Yeah, no, it's I feel like everyone's surprised. 2 things. I feel like everyone is surprised that I'm such a Taylor Swift fan, but then like the other end of the coin, or other side of the coin, is I feel like people are so surprised that I'm so open about it. Like I feel like hot takes. I feel like a lot of guys who like Taylor Swift tend to be pretty quiet about it and like, oh yeah, I listen to her, but it's behind closed doors and no one has to know about it. No, I just own it 100%. Like love it to death.
Listen, there's no shame in it. There's no shame in it. Can't be mad at it. And it's like, well, guys, you want to, maintain that tough mentality. So it's like, nah.
Oh, trust me, if I've got the if I'm in charge of the music when we're driving somewhere in the car, and it's Drake 100%, but it's behind closed doors, it's Taylor Swift every day.
Behind closed doors. So are you like? So what are the go-to songs? Just rattle off a couple of like your go-to songs.
I think it's hard to go past Love Story. That's like one of their all-timers.
Wow. That's
a bit of Back to December. A lot of her older stuff, it just never gets old. Back to December. What else has she got? I feel like We Are Never Getting Back Together. That's just an all-time cult classic. Anything really.
Taylor, if you're probably not going to listen to it, I'm tired of it. But if you're listening to this, man, you got to hook your biggest fan up with some memorabilia or
Taylor Swift, if you're watching this, I'm a huge fan. So.
Yeah, you're listening. We need some concert tickets. Come through for the homie Jack. Hey, nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that, man. Okay. So, do you listen to her like before meets and stuff like that? Is that like on the playlist? Like when you race tomorrow, are you gonna be bumping Taylor Swift?
I think I will. She'll be in the mix. It won't be exclusively Taylor Swift. There'll be. I'm gonna be honest. Like I'm pretty flexible with music. Like before a meet, like I don't know. I just have like a bunch of liked songs on Spotify, and I just throw those on. But yeah, it'll be a mix between like Kanye, Taylor Swift. That's interesting because they have beef, but like she'll be in the mix tomorrow. We'll see.
Oh man! So let me ask you this: switching back to track real quick. You ran at Illinois State. You run too excruciatingly from I'm a throwers guy because those were my events. And my coach. The fact that you run those middle distance events gives the show's titled Lactic Acid, and just thinking about that just gives me lactic acid. Why those 2 events? And can you break down the pain that you feel if you run it the way it's supposed to be run afterwards? Because that's something that I just can't get with.
Yeah, no. I've never been one. So I guess 2 things. I've never been one to handle lactic acid well. So the first thing is I can buffer it really well in a race. So like in an 800 or a 1500 or a mile specifically, I'm able to run for long periods buffering lactic acid, and I guess that's kind of what makes me good at the event. But after I finish the race, I have never very rarely do I run a 1500 mile or an 800 and not vomit after the race due to I being honest with you, I can't remember the last time I didn't vomit after one of those races. Like it's been a long time since I haven't, and I'm obviously racing pretty frequently. So yeah, it's obviously painful. I think the deeper you get into the season, the more kind of like condition you get to be able to handle that lactate better. But yeah, if you run them correctly, like, yeah, if you run the event correctly, it's a very painful, very, yeah, it's excruciating at times. I'm not gonna lie, but no, the feeling when you're able to kind of run through that and get a good result, it's pretty rewarding.
So why those two events? I mean, it makes sense. You talk about soccer and that those are the events, but what is it about those events that is worth the vomit that comes after every race?
I don't think it's necessary. So I don't think it's necessarily that like I love those events. Don't get me wrong. I love the mile and the 1500. I think like as a distance runner, those like the mile and the 1500 are like the sexy events. Like, I think if you ask anyone at a track meet like what events they want to watch, it'd probably be like the 100 and the mile, right? Mm-hmm. Especially in America, like people, the whole like sub 4 minute mile thing is such a big pull for fans and stuff like that. But it's not necessarily that I love those events. It's more just like those are the events that I'm naturally good at, and not naturally good at without like working hard. I just think I had a natural gift in those events, and then kind of like worked at it to make sure that I pulled everything out of myself to kind of maximize my potential in those events. If I had it any other way, I'd be a sprinter, because I think, I don't know, I much prefer the lifestyle of a sprinter compared to a distance runner. Being a distance runner, and especially a pro, it's not glamorous at times. I'm not gonna lie, but I just found from an early age that I just had I had what it took to be good at the 800 and the 1500, and kind of wanted to do everything I could to maximize my potential in those events. So,
okay. So last question, and then we're gonna do the last segment of the show.
Okay.
I want to know, what are some of the goals that I want to say, so I asked you about the goal. So what do you want your platform to be post running? Like, what do you want? Obviously, as a runner, you have a short shelf life.
Yeah.
But what do you want running to do for you? What's the platform that you want to build upon? Does that make sense?
Yeah. I think for me, I think I'm a good example of someone who, I don't want to say shouldn't have made it, because I haven't made it yet. There's like still so much for me to achieve, and like I don't want to say I've made it at all by any means, but like I think I'm someone who, I'm pro athlete now. Like I was an All-American in college, like sub 4 minute miler, and I think I'm someone who, if you looked at me 5, 6, 7, 8 years ago, you'd be very surprised that I'm in the position I'm in right now. And so I want to get to the point where I can inspire other people with similar backgrounds to me, who maybe went to a really small school, went to a smaller college that's not renowned for running, and just be an example for people that come from those backgrounds, to show them that, hey, you don't have to go to like an Oregon, or you don't have to go to a Newberry Park High School just to find out how good you can be. You can be, all you need is a track and the will to be successful, and you can make it happen. And so if I can inspire a few people along the way to not worry about where they came from and what their background is, and inspire them to maybe get to the level that I'm at, like I would consider that like a really big success. So
definitely love that. So this segment is called Down the Home Stretch.
Okay.
But I'm sitting here thinking, and so if people are watching this video, you see me looking here, there, everywhere, because I've been formulating these questions in my head, because I'm going to segment up. We're going to be doing hot takes instead. Usually I
Hot
do
takes.
fires. Yes, we're gonna do some food hot takes.
Okay. Okay.
And so that's how we are going to rock with this. Because you have some spot. I don't know how people are going to react to some of the things that you think. I agree with some of them, especially with the Chipotle one. And God's truth, I'm just like so tempted just to go get a bowl right now. But yeah, I'm gonna throw a few food hot takes at you, and if you have any of your own, feel free to chime.
All right. Am I just giving you an answer, or do I have time to explain?
You can explain.
Okay. All right.
Man.
I feel like I need the ability to be able to explain where I'm coming from, because I think, yeah, a lot of opinions I might have on food might just be outrageous to some people.
So we'll do two apiece. So we'll do two, maybe three apiece. So you're the guest. Go ahead and get it started.
You want me to give you a hot take, or
Yeah,
like what?
We're just gonna chop it up. That's how we're gonna do it.
Okay. Hot take is Panda Express overrated.
Easy.
Really overrated.
Here's the thing. So I agree with you. Let me hear your explanation. Why?
Okay. So I think, don't get me wrong, I have Panda Express like a lot, but I have found lately, like just in like probably even in the last few months, like every time I get Panda Express, I'm so stoked to get it and I'm excited and I'm like, hell yeah, this is going to be great. And then I just like get it and I'm so underwhelmed and I just feel terrible after eating it. Like,
yeah.
So hot takes.
See, here's the thing. You see, I'm not going to disrespect because I haven't. I'm trying to make my own Chinese food like at home because there was a couple really good restaurants here locally that shut down, and I just haven't found one. In high school, I used to mess Panda Express up because we used to. We used to have off-campus lunch, so Panda Express was 2.5 miles away, so we used to head out to Panda Express. Man, used to have me some sweet and sour chicken or some chicken with some rice, some egg rolls, and oh boy, but when I tell you I was out for the count, it was awful.
I'm the same. When I first came to the US, man, I was just like kid in a candy shop. Like I loved it. And then just kind of, I don't know, as time's gone by, it's just kind of faded on me a little bit, I think. So
I used to mess that into some sweet and sour shrimp. It's crazy. It is crazy. So yeah, I can't do it no more, man. I can't do it. So let me put this hot take out, which might get me in trouble. Chick-fil-A, I don't want to say it's overrated, but it's overhyped.
Okay. Huh. Do you have like, give me some more, like on what grounds?
So here's the thing. First of all, maybe it's because I've eaten there like for so many years and everything like that, but there are people who wait. The customers are fantastic.
No, the line at Chick-fil-A is always like ridiculous.
And it is not worth it. Like, you know how many chicken sandwiches I can get from somewhere else with the amount that I paid for everyone with no pickles. And so for me, and so the breakfast used to be like amazing, but I'm not digging it now. And stuff like that. It's just, to me, it's overhyped. And here's the thing about the fries. If you get them hot, they're the best things. They're some of the best fries you ever ate. But if you let them sit there, even just for a minute, I found that their fries compared to a lot of other fries, like it's not good.
Yeah, no, I'll give you that. I can see that.
Have you been to a place called PDQ?
I have not. Is that like a chicken sandwich place?
It's a chicken tenders chicken sandwich place. It's the best chicken sandwich you ever have. Okay, so throw one more at me.
Okay. I don't know exactly how to frame this one, but I want to talk about Jimmy John's.
Uh-oh.
Okay. I don't know how to put this politely, but I think Jimmy John's is the biggest waste of money you could. Okay, for starters, I just have like a list of like issues with Jimmy John's. Like for starters, why do they think it's okay to like bury out their sandwich, like their bread, so they can put more lettuce in? Do you know what I'm talking about? They literally like bury out the bread, like, and make it like hollow so they can fit more lettuce in. And I'm just like, there's like no one like wants like, if you like that, that is just like insanity to me. I don't know.
Oh man. So Jimmy John's used to mess that over too when I was in high school. But here's the thing about Jimmy John's. The thing I think makes them so popular is you order, you pay, and it's over. Like the sandwich is made.
Yeah.
And everything. So I think that's the hype. For me, it made me sick. Like physically, like I ate it and then I was like, ooh, I don't know, because to your point, the lettuce sometimes overpowers.
It's just like a lettuce sandwich to me.
Yeah.
Like,
I'm trying to, it's been so many years since I had it. So I'm trying to like.
Oh, yeah. It's funny to me because I'm a huge Subway guy. Like we have Subway in Australia and like there's not too many places that like are in Australia and also over here. So I feel like, I don't know, growing up, I always ate Subway and like, it's just, I don't know, I enjoy it quite a bit. But like, having said that, like Subway is so different because you can get it toasted. There's just like, I don't know, cold sandwiches to me. Like,
you're not a cold sandwich guy?
Like it's not that I'm not a cold sandwich guy, but like if you have the option to go somewhere where you can get like, you know, toasted chicken or like, I don't know, anything like that and like warm it up. Like, I don't know, I'm just going to take that option every day of the week. So,
yeah. I got you. Jimmy John's, like I said, it just physically made me sick. But like you said, there was so much lettuce to cover up how the meat tasted. And
yeah, no, it's just a lettuce sandwich to me. Like you could put as much meat as you want on it, but when there's that much lettuce, I'm not going to taste anything but lettuce.
Last one.
Okay.
Red Lobster. Have you been there?
I have, yes. I've been once. So I'm not like, I don't have like.
No. I think you know enough for this hot take. Their Cheddar Bay biscuits compared to all the other brands that sell bread and rolls, everything, it is the best. Better than Texas Roadhouse, better than Outback, better than Olive Garden's roll, all of that.
Yeah. I'm going to have to defend Outback on that one.
Oh,
being an Aussie. Not that I have like not that I have any experience whatsoever, but I'm just going to stick to my guns. And
that's fair.
But no, you are right. I was impressed with it when I went there. Yeah.
I definitely want to. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I was just going to say I was impressed with it when I went to Red Lobster. I don't think there's a Red Lobster where I live, so it's only when I'm on the road that I can try it, but we'll see.
Is Outback like official, like the authentic Australian experience that they sell it out to be?
I wouldn't say it's authentic. The reason I think it's cool is they have like 2 menu items. So the 2 places I lived growing up in Australia, I lived in a place called Alice Springs, which is in Central Australia, and then I moved to the East Coast of Australia and lived kind of like near Brisbane, which is the big city in Queensland. And they have on the menu, the Outback Steakhouse menu is not that big, but they have 2 meals named after the 2 places that I lived. So I've always got a soft spot, and yeah, it's taste of home. So.
Well, this is the revised version of Down the Home Stretch, the hot take version, and you survived it, Jack. Where can the people follow you on social media?
People can follow me on Instagram at Jack Anstey. It's all lowercase, just JACKANSTEY. you can probably link it in the video or something. And then any runners out there, I'm on Strava. I post everything on my Strava, Jack Anstey. And yeah, you can follow the Dark Sky Distance page on Instagram. I'm on there a little bit. And yeah.
Yeah, I will post Jack's Instagram information on the show notes, just where I post all of the other information. As far as this is concerned with Lactic Acid, please be sure to follow us on Instagram, Lactic Acid Podcast, on Twitter, Lactic Acid _pod. We're on TikTok. Don't know how to use it, but still want you to follow it, Lactic Acid with Dominique Smith, and follow the website, lacticacidpodcast@gmail.com. Would love to chat with you. If you're interested in sponsoring the show, please shoot me an email at that email address. I would love to talk with you to get you to get your audience with our audience, and we, could bring awareness to your business. Jack, brother, I appreciate you coming on the show. Thank you all for listening, and we will see you next time.